with this game. Something are a bit random, just vanillaware stuff, and also some really out topic questions that I have. So
Sure, no
it should
problem.
be interesting. Okay, I guess now we are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Demon Appreciation Podcast, episode 2. So, today, as you can see, we have two guests on the channel. So, we have Kuro from the Midnight Channel. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me here.
All right, thanks for being here. And we also have Larrue. What's up?
Hello, hello.
Thanks for
Hi.
being here, man. I really do appreciate you guys being here. It should be an interesting stream that we have today. It is called 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim Spoilercast, but we have three different takes on the game. I completed the game. LaRue's at the final battle, and Kuro's about 60% in. So we'll have three different opinions and three different look at the game. So we will have different opinions on the matter, which should be interesting. I told you guys before, but this is going to be a general chat. So yes, we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk maybe a bit about the spoilers as well, of course, and we're going to talk about some things that are a bit off topic, but still kind of related to at least Vanillaware or Atlas. So it should be interesting. During the whole stream, if you guys have any questions in the chat, you don't hesitate to drop them, and we'll definitely try to answer them as soon as we get to those questions. So I have a few topics that I wrote down, no specific order, and we can definitely go off topic whenever we want. So yeah, should be pretty interesting. We were just about to talk about the combat system, so why don't we start about that? I know that this is something that most people have questions about, so let's start with what are you guys' thoughts about that combat system? It is real time strategy, so it is very different from what we see normally. What are your thoughts? What did you think about the combat system?
Uh, I had a lot of thoughts on the combat system. I feel like the combat system wasn't really well showcased whenever the trailers were done. I particularly actually really enjoyed the combat. I didn't think it was intricate enough, but I thought it was entertaining. There was a lot of parts that I was like, yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed the gameplay in some aspects. I'm not an RTS kind of person. I'm not big into strategy RPGs or anything like that. So it's not my forte when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like this game for some reason felt really easy, even in the intense mode, which I was just talking to Larrue about. It still doesn't feel like it's really hard as a game. Like I felt like it was like I was still bracing through the battle. It's like there's something either I'm really good at this game or there's something wrong with the
Mm-hmm.
pacing of the battle.
Hey, we talked about that before, but the definitely the difficulty is kind of weird with that combat system. Like when you're trying it on the hardest difficulty and you're trying to get S rank, it can get challenging at times, but definitely when you're just playing it on normal, you gotta reach chapter 3 of the combat mode before you start to struggle with S ranks. At least that's what happened to me. I don't know if you had a similar experience, LaRue.
Yeah, I hit. I think the first time I got A rank was like the second to last mission on the second tier of missions actually. So it was mostly because I do both. I try to get the star, which you get for doing the restrictions that they ask of you to bring
Yep.
one particular character or two particular characters, be it in a certain time or whatever. Um, that's what tripped me up is because I was so focused on doing that, and I try to run the most minimal team possible of just like
Like,
three
is it one
people,
of those
maybe.
missions that say 3 or 4 people in a
Yeah.
battle or
Yeah,
something like that?
Those
I only
missions
did
at a certain point.
four.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt, but at a certain point when you reach like chapter 3, there's some missions where those restrictions are kind of a challenge when you're playing it on hard. Like at a certain point, well, if you're at the final battle, you experienced it, but there's a place where you got to protect the terminal, and the enemies are just coming from everywhere, basically around you, and you just gotta survive until I forgot her name, man. That I'm going to struggle with the names. I'm gonna just say it right away. But the idol, like she's telling you that she's reloading the terminal.
Something Inaba.
Yeah, Inaba. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
trying to reload the terminal or something like that, and you gotta survive until they respawn. And that there's a restriction for 4 allies only. I only had Ogata, which was melee style, and the other ones were like sentry guns focused and stuff like that. So it was that mission was a challenge. I had to restart it to get the restrictions properly. But other than that, it's there's no big challenge in it, I think.
This is just coming from playing, like I mentioned earlier, I don't really play a lot of RTS, but when I do, I mean, a lot of these games are really challenging. Like, I'm even on the same vein as things like, moving a little bit more, thinking of things like Fire Emblem games or
Mm-hmm.
even like XCOM, things like that. Like they're pretty challenging at some points, but this game, like, sure it did have its challenges, but I was never like at 50%, or I'm like I never died once, and I'm like almost done with chapter 2, like on things. Like I think I'm like have like one more or something like that. Or I might have just finished all the two ones that I have played so far. I don't think I've done the third one yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I kind of want to say is a little bit of a criticism that I have for this game. Although I really enjoyed the way that they do a pacing for like the stories, going between the different characters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I feel like I really wish that it had incorporated the story with the battles, because it kind of feels like really disjointed when you're talking about, like, the threat is there because they're talking about it all the time, but doing the battles at a separate time when it's not like story focused, it just really like throws me off a little bit. Like, to me, it would have been better just to have like story and then there's a battle, and then
Yep.
more story and there's a battle. Like that's
Mm-hmm. I have to
um
agree
uh
with that. Like
because I feel like the battles, although they're interesting, that they don't really bring much to the table as far as like storytelling perspective, which is true because they have conversations with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like really hard to know, and especially when we'll get about the timeline in a second, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
Um, but
absolutely. But I understand
it's
what you mean.
but I feel like it's even hard to point out what point in the story they are fighting on that particular point, because you're like, okay, well, which part of the timeline are we
Yeah,
actually
absolutely.
fighting right now? Because it doesn't really make sense, and it feels like almost like there's no stakes. Although the stakes in the entire game is like destruction of the world, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no, it doesn't feel like there's any stakes in the actual like battle or anything like that
Mm-hmm.
to like make
I
it interesting.
I think it would have been way more interesting if they kept the way that it started. Like in the game, is it like I think it's during the prologue that you were just like it was story battle, and I thought it would
Yes.
be this way for the whole thing.
Mhm.
I don't know what
Yeah.
if that's what.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought it would have been more interesting with the. Again, we're going to talk about how they decided to place the story sections for each character and the timeline and all of that, the pacing. But the fact that the combat system, you have some type of liberty. I know that sometimes they block you in a certain character's story. They block your progression until you beat a certain part of the combat. It still feels kind of weird at times. Not a deal breaker, but it feels. I definitely understand your point right here.
Yeah, I just feel like it feels disjointed from the story. Although it shouldn't, because that's the main focus of it. The whole thing about it is about them running the Sentinels and defending Earth the entire time, right? So it just feels like so disjointed because that's what you're supposed to do, but you do it at a separate time. It just didn't feel right for me.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that. And Larue, with the way that the combat sequences were placed, do you have any thoughts about that? Like, was it a problem that you just had to just switch mode and then get into battles whenever you wanted to?
No, no, actually, for me, I enjoyed it because the way I've been playing is I've been evenly playing each story because I try to keep them about the same percentage all the way through is what I was doing, and then I would try to balance the percentage of completion of the battle system to kind of match what I was
Oh.
with the story. So since I would kind of rotate between those, and then I would also just grind because I wanted to see what Insane was like,
Mm-hmm.
and like I was always kind of doing something, if that makes sense. So now my characters are all too strong. They're all like level 30 and 30 plus. They got all their like extra skills and stuff, and and all the useful skills are all maxed out. So it's like, it, I don't know. It's I kind of like shot myself in the foot by I guess grinding a bit.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Like the thing that you said about the story, trying to keep all the characters at the same percentage, I feel like that's the way that you have to play it to experience the story
Yeah,
in the right way. Like to for it to make the most sense. Because again, we're going to deep dive in the story, but it gets complicated at times, and you really make your life easier if you play it that way. I feel like at least.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the way that they did the story part. I really want I want to talk about that. But yeah, overall the combat, I think that final thoughts on the combat. I feel like it was a little bare bones when it comes to strategy part. Like, even I'm not saying that it was like really overly complicated or anything like that, but I feel like there was like they could have gone a little bit more in depth, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe more like in the aspect of like stats or something like that. And I feel like they leave it. Even at the beginning, they give you a lot of experience points at the very beginning of the game. Like, you can definitely develop a really well balanced party like within like the first like hour of the game because they give you so much like experience points and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
To like I was like I have like 35,000 and I just started this game. There's no way like like it's just kind of weird for me. It just felt like they were really trying to make the game so easy for people to get through the story and everything, which
Yeah.
I honestly do appreciate because there are people that don't really like going through like stories, like the battles and everything, which I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, I'm like, I would like a little more, and I've never been like the challenging kind of guy. I'm not like the person that likes to play the hard games or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about the difficulty level, and for the three of us, it's like, I mean, we're playing Megami Tensei games, so most of the time, like, grinding is just something that we do. Like, I've been grinding. I'm currently playing through DDS, and I'm just grinding way too much. Like, I don't need to grind that much, but it's just fun. I like to grind and like listen to some podcasts on the side while grinding. So it definitely, if that's what you did in 13 Sentinels, it's not necessary. If you like it, you can do it, but it's not necessary at all. Just as you mentioned, I really do feel like, yeah, they tried to make it easier and like not mandatory basically to experience a lot of combat. You can just put casual and rush through the combat sequences and very very quickly if you wanted to, but I don't recommend it. But if you wanted to and you don't like the combat at all, it is an option that they gave you.
Yeah,
yes,
and what blows my mind is to me there is a lot of depth in the combat, but the problem is that they don't actually implement it on the other side of it, the actual like difficulty scaling, because the hard mode feels like a normal mode and the normal feels kind of easy. You have like this weird unbalance because you can really customize your characters by plugging some of those points into like the character stats as well as the sentinel stats. So then like my Ogata is broken. Like my Ogata kills anything.
Yeah,
And,
that Demolisher blade is like, doesn't matter if he has armor. I'm just wrecking through it basically.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the strategy for me as well.
I realized that really quickly. Well, I actually focused on um, the opposite, not close combat, more like they don't even get close to me or anything like that. And I invested so much on the sentries on
Yeah,
like just
the sentry
close to
guns.
me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I spent so much. Like, most of my experiences was going towards those. And what was there's two characters that do the sentry attacks and everything.
There's Juro and there's is Ryoko? Is that it? Shinonome?
Shinonome,
Well, I don't remember.
Shinonome is super broken because of her skill that she has, where you instead of doing one, it'll summon two per summon. Great.
She's good. She's really good. There's a lot of characters that you can really break. Like almost break the games and everything. Yeah, my Juro was like doing like 10 times the damage everybody else is doing. Like like every battle he's the MVP. Like I think he's like level 30, and again I'm not like even close to like.
Oh, that's high. Yeah, that's very high. Even if you just completed all the missions, it's high for where you're at. Absolutely. You're not gonna struggle at all with the final battles. So even the last battle, it's like it's a great battle. You're having fun playing through it, but it's like it's not challenging. I just beat it on the first try. So I haven't really like
more than one for you. Like was there any other ones that actually took one or two tries for you? Or were you just able to do them all?
The ones that I had to retry was because of the restrictions. And I played the whole game through with normal, so not on easy, but not on hard either. And the only times that I had to restart is because I wanted the restrictions, just like you guys said. I wanted to have them all the times. I wanted to have like the most mystery points as possible for the analysis mode, and those are the only times that I had to retry. But just if I had to just play it without the restrictions, I don't think it would have been a problem.
Yeah, I think.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a problem. I think it adds a little to the spice of the game. Like running on a small team, really makes you kind of think of the characters you want to use and the strategies you want to use and everything. Like I said, I was doing like 2 centuries and then like Ogata. Because Ogata is like really good, like a really good character to
Yeah,
use
absolutely.
anytime. I mean, the damage that he does, even on like a low level, like level 10 or whatever, he still does like 3,000 hits, and it's crazy like how strong he is.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can really have a lot of fun with the different characters. I really like the way that like, they incorporated their personalities to their attacks and everything too.
Yeah, and it's
Like
cool what they're saying at times as well. It's really cool. Like Amiguchi, he's like, you gotta look good in front of Yuki-chan, and he's just jumping in. It's like it's cool. It's like there's the personality that they really put into the combat system as well. It was really well done. Like you can see that Vanillaware cares about the characters that they made. Really, and that's something that
yeah,
I could appreciate. Really for the combat. It makes it just more interesting. I have a question about while we're still on the combat system, I have actually two little questions with the combat system that I wanted to talk about. Of course, I wanted to talk about the difficulty. We just tackled that. A weird question that I have, and you might not have the answer right away, but if you think about it, I'm sure you'll find something. If you could change the real-time strategy combat system, first, would you do it? And second, by which type of combat system would you change it? Weird question, right?
it's a good question. It's a really good question. So I guess I'll go first because I actually kind of have an answer to this one.
Go ahead.
I like the way that they did the combat. I think that it really fits well with the environment and everything. My criticism to that will be to have actual animations for the battles, not just
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Because it's like really simple, which I get it because they don't have a big budget or anything like that. But adding some animations like they do in Fire Emblem, like
Mm-hmm.
it makes it 10 times more interesting to look at.
Yeah. And they
Especially
have the
because of
animations. They have some type of animations when you click on the
sometimes.
when you have your arrows on the spell. You can
Yeah.
see some type of animation. So they did something at first, and we're going to talk about that later. But there was a Vita version that was planned for this game, so maybe that had something to do with why
Yeah.
there's no animations on the
Yeah,
PS4.
definitely. I feel like they had to cut some corners to get the game out and everything, which I get. Vanillaware is a really really small studio when it
Yeah.
comes to just anything compared to any studios out there. Like they're almost like a what I would call like a semi indie studio. Like it's almost like an indie studio, but not really because you still have a good publisher.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I feel like they really had to cut some corners to that. So that's one little criticism. Like I would like to see some like I'll say like animations and stuff. I feel like it will really add to like the depth of the story and everything like that. Um, but yeah, that's the only thing. I wouldn't change anything. I really like the way
Okay.
that they do it.
So you would
I'll say
improve on it, but
better.
you wouldn't change the whole genre for the combat, basically.
No, I wouldn't change it. I will improve it. I'll probably add more depth to the combat system. Maybe a better balancing. But yeah, other than that, I feel like it's good the way it was.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I actually agree with that as well. There's literally all I would want to do is just enhance what they already have because the bones of the battle system is great.
Absolutely.
Things like the animation would be cool, like cut-ins for like when you do special skills or anything
Mm-hmm.
would be nice. Um, Being able to change the perspective because you can kind of like zoom in, zoom out, or like go for like a flat perspective. But I don't think that's like anything like it doesn't really offer anything. But if you were able to have those animations, have a little bit more character interaction, they say unique things, but I think that they can do a little bit more. And if they had another difficulty setting, because I'm not. This is not a game genre that I'm good at. Like I am very
Mm-hmm.
bad at RTS. So I was really scared to play this
Yeah,
game, which
me
is
too.
why I stopped playing it on stream actually, because I was afraid that I was gonna like game over a whole bunch in front of people. but then like playing it, I was like, this is really fun, but it's really simple,
Yeah.
you know.
And you know what? I think that's a good point. And I think that, like you said before, Kiro, how many people do you know that are hardcore into RTS? Like they had to make it a bit easier to get into because it. I mean, we're not familiar with this type of combat system, and it's not that common in games nowadays either. And except if I'm just definitely not up to date on that, but I don't think it's common from what I see.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it was interesting. Like I said, and I'm gonna repeat it again. I just feel like it was a good way to start a combat. I just feel like you needed to be much more in depth, especially if you're trying
Yeah.
to target an audience of actual people that play RTS. Like I don't know what their perspective is on the game, but I will imagine that they will not be really satisfied with the way that the combat works. Like it's pretty good and it's really interesting and intricate, but I feel like I'm a little bit more dead and kind of like working it out. If they were trying to aim for that product, which I don't think they even aim for, like in terms of what I never seen it. I didn't see any of my friends that play those games actually get into this game at all. And I even tried to get people into it. I was like, hey, you should check this game out, and they were like, yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
all the persons that I talked about, even let's talk about it quickly. But even with the content creation on YouTube, like I did a review and we did videos before about that game, and the reception to those videos was not was not as high or was not as great as just a regular Megaton video or just a regular Persona video. So I don't feel like people are that excited. Before release, I don't think that people were that excited about it. Now that it's out and that the critics are there and the game score is really high and people are only saying good things about it, people are starting to talk about it more, and that's probably because of the marketing campaign for this game, which again we'll talk about that later. We'll have a lot to say, I'm sure, but there's a lot of reason why this game isn't popular at the moment, I feel like.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. We can really get into it if we want to talk about this later.
Yeah, well, we can get into it. We can get a few into it if we want. I just wanted to answer. Demicro has a cool question here, in the chat. He says, since the Vita version was scrapped, do you think that Vita version is being turned into a Switch port?
I kind of dropped my 2 cents in the comments there, so I'm kind of just gonna say what I said over there. I
That
don't think so. I think the game sold so low that I don't think that Atlas or Sega will even invest into working at port for it.
it makes sense, and also the fact that if I'm not a developer or anything, but a Vita version, they were probably kind of far in the development since we learned kind of late in the development cycle of this game that it was canceled. I don't think you can just switch the development from the Vita version to a Switch version. Like they had to redo the whole thing, which again, it's a small studio. I don't think that they would want to do that before the game was out. And now that we know how much the game sold, we don't have exact numbers, but we have a good idea. I don't think there's a chance for any other versions, whether it's a PC port or a Switch port. I don't feel like it's very likely.
And even though we don't have any numbers, we did see. I saw a post by oh man, who did it? And he did a post about this
Oh, it's
Jumpers game selling
yeah,
better.
Spencer, SMT Network.
Spencer did, right? He made a post about it. I was like, if after hearing that, I was like, yeah, there's no way that
Yeah,
this game.
it's not surprising though.
Oh yeah, definitely not. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Any
In terms of this, the sales don't matter for the West because they already exceeded what they wanted for the East because it sold over 130,000 units, which I think was, I don't know what their projections were, but they already said that it exceeded expectations. Usually,
Oh.
if they publish the numbers, that's a good sign. That means that they did well.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it did bad in the West because, well, we can talk about that if you want.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead, no problem.
Yeah. It's, I mean, largely due to the lack of marketing, I would say. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
no one really knew about it. Or they did push for it like 2 years ago. And then, they let that brand awareness kind of slip away. And I think that led to like a lack of awareness. And it's a really interesting, unique game that got pushed back too.
Yep.
Which, that doesn't help. But I actually feel the other way around. I feel like they will be doing some sort of port just because it did well in Japan. Like it has the brand awareness to get all those weird high-end figures and stuff.
Oh, that's an interesting take. It makes sense. I didn't know that the game sold well in Japan, and I probably for Vanillaware over 100,000 copies is probably up to their expectations. I would think so. Again, just as you mentioned, if they publish the numbers, there's probably a reason behind it. So, okay, yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't know about that.
I don't know. I don't hold too much expectations. Even then, I don't think I was willing to invest into it. Or Sega, I don't know. Question for you guys: was this published by Atlus or Sega?
Yeah, by Atlas.
Atlas, yeah.
In Japan too?
Yeah, that's they reached out to Atlas after the toy company that they're originally going to that was originally supposed to produce the game abandoned the project. They went to Atlas.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So I don't know. I hope so, but I don't hold too much expectations in that end.
Hmm.
I never seen a Vanillaware game on Nintendo.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
true.
it happened before, so maybe on PC, but I don't know about the
PC,
Switch.
I can see PC. I
Yeah,
think PC will make more sense actually.
easier porting process as well. So, but I mean, I was watching like today before the podcast. I was just rewatching the trailers for 13 Sentinels, and believe it or not, there was some comments saying where's Persona 5 for Switch in the comment sections of the trailers for this game. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
I believe that. I think it's always like one of those things. Like
I mean,
the problem I feel at this point is I don't think that we can ever really escape that, or even
no,
Atlas can ever escape the Persona 5 or maybe the
exactly.
Persona Shadow
So at this point, I
gaming.
don't want them to announce this game for Switch because people are going to complain that it's not Persona 5. So I mean,
Yeah, or,
they should release vanilla on Switch. Just piss them off one last time and then let them forget about it.
it'll be fun. It would be hilarious if they did vanilla instead of. Can you believe the
Yeah.
backlash on that?
Oh yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy funny. I would laugh, man, so hard if they were to do that. It would be really funny. But let's not get into that Persona Switch topic, or we're going to talk about that for the whole thing. Um, I had one small question coming back to the combat system for you guys just before I forget about it, but I don't know if you guys have heard of this game before, but it's an older Vanillaware game. It's called Grim Grimoire. Have you heard of it before? You did. Did you play it?
I've
No,
heard.
but I heard of it when I was researching Aegis Rim or Aegis Rim, whatever.
Okay, and okay, well, since no one played it, it's going to be hard to answer my question. But I was wondering about the combat system in that game because from what I could see, it looked kind of interesting, and it's also RTS, but it's different, but it's still RTS, and I thought it was interesting. I would have liked to see, well, to have a take on what is it like in a comparison to this game because before I did more research on Vanillaware, I never heard of this game before, so maybe I'll check it out at some point.
Yeah, I only know of it because George Kamitani mentions that this game's battle system was heavily influenced by Grim Grimoire, but
Oh.
I actually didn't even bother to look at the battle.
Okay, so we found out about this game at the same place. So that was an
Yeah.
interview with him.
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay. So we learned about this game at the same place. So yeah, I don't think it's very
Yeah,
popular. So
yeah, I heard of it from. I'm in this. What is this like a vintage gaming video game Facebook group, and somebody made a post about it, and I saw like they were talking about the game and everything. So that's how even I know about it. I haven't seen that from you guys.
okay. Well, yeah, not a very popular game, I guess. I'll get back to the marketing. I have some things to say about that. Do you guys remember the first trailer that we got?
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember it, and I remember thinking that that trailer it didn't make sense to
Oh
much because
man.
it was a character introduction trailer. So that's a really weird way for me to like get into a game. Like I need to know like what's going on with this game, not like the characters, because it's hard to care about the characters when you know what the story of the game is.
Yeah, what a weird way to introduce this game to, especially to a Western audience. Like,
Yeah.
I remember talking to you about that after the reveal, and we were like, "What the hell is this? A character trailer for? Oh man! Like, if you didn't research anything about this game, you had no clue what it was all about after that trailer.
Yeah,
Like,
and even when I had done research after playing the game, after playing the prologue of the game, I was like, I was wrong about this game. And that was after me watching gameplay and watching the trailers and like researching on it. I was too like I had some misconceptions as far as how the story was gonna like play out and everything because the story and the trailers didn't really tell me much about it. So I had like really small things to go through. And just playing the first hour of the game, which is like the prologue for like the first like 4 characters or 5 characters you get, like last year was like, wow, this game is like so different from what I thought it was gonna be.
yeah, absolutely. Like, that whole marketing campaign from what it was really interesting to look at, but it was it was like I was not expecting any type of good sales for us in the West, unfortunately, because of that. Like, no one was talking about the game, and except like us, for say, and the hype wasn't there at all for most people, from what I could see. So it's sad because it's a really good game, and man, I really would have liked to for this game to succeed more than it did, unfortunately. Did you just really buy a copy of Grim Grimoire?
Yeah, I was like, we're talking about it. It's weirdly cheap. Might as well have it.
How much is
Maybe
it?
You'll have to let us know how is it like. At 30 bucks,
30 bucks,
brand new?
brand new. Yeah.
Damn, that's kind of cheap, man. I'll have to check that out as
Mm.
well. We'll try it out. I mean, I have to play more of those Vanillaware games. I haven't tried Muramasa either, and I know that this game is kind of good, so I should try it out.
Yeah. I think I only played like two or three of them. Like I played, what is that side scroller that is like medieval?
Dragon's Crown.
Dragon's Crown. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
quite enjoyed that one. I played that with my friend. I think this is multiplayer, right? Like 4 player or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I played it with my friends. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. And then I played one on the PS Vita. I forgot what it's called. Like
Yeah,
I,
three, Odin Sphere,
Oh.
Dragon's Crown, and Muramasa.
Odin Sphere. That's the one I played. Odin Sphere.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's the only one I haven't played besides Grimoire.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I had to ask about the only game that no one played, basically, to get an opinion on it. Well, too bad. um, yeah, so I think that covers what I wanted to talk about. Anything else about the marketing before we move on?
I actually went to the E3 where they had the Aegis Rim like standee. It was I believe 2016 because that's when or was it 2016? It was when they were releasing Strange Journey Redux in the West. So half the booth was Strange Journey, and the other half was Aegis Rim, where you could take a picture with one of the Sentinels. And
Oh, really?
yeah, it was such a bizarre. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing because it was two things that I didn't think would ever get attention, getting some attention, and
Yeah.
then it fell off the map, and no one ever heard of 13
Yeah.
Sentinels for a few
I,
years.
I'm surprised that you're telling this because I do remember seeing pictures of the Strange Journey Redux booth, but I don't remember 13 Sentinels at all being there, so that says a lot. But there was like a physical Sentinel or just like some type
Yeah,
of.
it was a cutout, but it was at least like 7 or 8 feet tall.
That's kind of cool.
I guess I didn't take a picture with it, or I didn't save the picture.
Aw,
So
damn.
I was gonna post it, but I couldn't. I can't find it. So,
Oh, yeah, well,
but
that's interesting.
Oh man, yeah. The only reason why I even knew about this game was because I was there's this project, this other game that they're working on. What is it like? Project. I forgot the name of the game. Project Re Fantasy or RE Fantasy, whatever.
Mhm.
They call it. And I think they. I think I heard about it almost at the same time. So I was like, I always kept check on those two games or whatever. Um, so that's the only reason why I even know about Person Sentinels. And I've been watching, like I said, I've been watching the trailers, like when they dropped in Japan and everything. Like I was like pretty like trying to get into it or whatever. I just thought the games and the characters look interesting, but
Mhm.
I still feel better.
We have a question here from Frank in the chat. He says, "What do you guys think about the game's morality? Since there are characters like Morimura, Ida, and Izumi that act on what they felt was best, and I really liked how no motive was the right one." Any thoughts?
um, well, from what I have played so far, which I haven't finished the game, but I'm very aware. I feel like at this point, because the way that the timeline kind of works, you can kind of piece out some things together, and I know what he's referring to a little bit. I feel like the game really is really good at showing these different perspectives for the different characters.
Yeah.
That really gives you like the full picture. That's where you feel like the morality isn't like as bad.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because having 13 different characters besides side characters like Morimura, which she doesn't really have her own story, but I mean, kinda, if you wanna go about it
Well,
like
with
that.
all the different perspectives, she has a complete story at the end. So
Yeah,
Actually, like I was like about to spoil, but then I was like, well, yeah, kind of. You know what I'm talking about.
oh,
But
you
no,
can get to it. I mean, spoiler cast. So we're supposed to
spoilers.
talk spoilers. So let's go.
Never mind. Yeah, yeah. I just really like the way that they like you see everybody's perspective, and even when you like when you're playing to one story, and I did a different thing from what Larrue did, which he's like doing them all evenly. There are some stories that I was like really hooked into, and I was like, I just continuously I was like trying to finish that part of the story because I was like, I want to see what's going on with this part.
Hmm.
Uh, and then you play another character and you see their perspective on the exact same event, but like from their perspective, and it's just like it's so good to kind of see that
Yeah.
moment where you're kind of like, whoa, you know, like this is what is happening, but on the other side, like it still like it makes sense. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I don't feel like a character other than maybe I mean, what is his name? I forgot his name. Ida. Is a is Ida the guy with the glasses?
Yep. That Ida's the what's it? Tetsuda Ida. Yeah.
Yeah, he is like a total dick. Although I don't know, the entire time I was like, hey, he's a douchebag. He like annoyed me the entire time in the game. But but I still said that I was like, I really just love it. I love the aha moments because this game has a lot of those kind of like, oh, you know, like, oh, that's why this is happening. You know, I really love how like the game kind of puts its pieces together, and when you see like the the
Yeah.
the other side of the story, I just really love that the perspective in this game really kind of adds to the experience of it. So
Hmm.
I don't think like there's a morality issue here. I just feel like seeing different perspectives really adds to kind of like why you don't feel like there's a wrong or right. You know, they're just different perspectives from different people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that they were able to make it work, like 13 characters and 13 different perspective on basically the same story, and to make it work and to make it relatively clear, it's impressive. Like it's really impressive. I wasn't expecting that. And how exciting is it? Like just you're experiencing a story and you're like, okay, yeah, there's this type of mystery here, and then you play with another character and you experience this story but on another view with another viewpoint, and it starts to make sense. Like it was extremely like that's something that I think was extremely addictive and that I really liked personally. The different perspective, it's like, yeah, it's one of the biggest thing that I liked in this game. When I talked about it in my review, I was like, yeah, that's something that they did extremely well in my opinion. Any thoughts on that, Larue? The perspective, the way that they displayed everything with the different characters, with the same type of story, the way that you see everything.
yeah. I think because I'm very, very into sci-fi. Like, I'm into sci-fi, but I have like a cardinal like rule of hating time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Oh,
really don't like it ever. Like, there's like a very few amounts of media where I'm like, oh, they did time travel good.
well, it's
This
rare.
game,
It's rare.
this
I mean,
game does it
yeah.
really, really well, and it balances the reveals. The pacing of it is very expertly done.
Yes.
I would say that because you're constantly getting introduced to these different mysteries and then having previous mysteries like kind of like built up upon. I think that what ends up happening is you start to think of the game less in terms of like wrong or right and more in terms of, oh man, that sucks for Agata, or that's great for like Ida or whatever. You know,
Hmm.
you kind of just go with their perspective while you're playing, and it's a very cool like balance they do. I can't really think of many games that made me feel that all the characters had a strong reasoning and like a
Mm-hmm.
strong sense of self, because most games that have one protagonist can have a very shallow cast, but this has 13 protagonists, and even characters that all they are kind of like set dressing. They're dressed pretty well to the point where they feel just as good as some of the protagonists.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the side characters that are not the 13 people are still pretty interesting on the story. Like you're still kind of like, oh, this is really good. Like I love how they're like develop the characters. And that's one thing that as I was playing this, and you know, talking about the way of morality and everything, which is a really uh, Megaten thing to think about. You know, when you're thinking of like I'm sorry. Like as soon as they asked about morality, I was like, are they asking like a Megaten like a way like that was my first thought. I was like, I really want Atlas to kind of borrow the way that they did character development in this game because it's way better than a lot of the Megaten games or Persona games. Like the way that they did character development in this game is some of the best character development I played in a while. And I was like, wow, I really, really like it. Like if they did something like this for, let's say, the side characters in Persona, you know how they have the different social links and everything. This will be like it will make Persona like a much better game
Mm-hmm.
to play through.
Because
'Cause I really like
personally,
I was like that.
just
Anyway, side comment on side jab on Persona. No.
yeah, just to add something on top of that. I mean, I don't think there's any character in this game that I was just trying to rush through the story because it was uninteresting. Like none of
There's
them.
one character for me.
Who?
There's just one.
And who was
Which
that?
one?
I'm curious now.
I don't know. I feel like it's a hot take, but
Go ahead.
there's one character who I really thought was annoying, and it was Hijiyama.
Oh, why? His story was cool, man.
I think it's because everyone was so serious and everyone had such an intense story.
Oh yeah,
You
okay.
have this guy who's like obsessed with bread all the time.
Yeah.
It's not funny to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
You know,
For me,
yeah.
there's other things that happen in the game that are hilarious, but for some reason the bread thing was not funny to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
It's a really Japanese thing.
Yep.
Like, that is a really really old school Japanese thing. The whole yakisoba pan thing. The
Yeah,
entirety
yeah.
of the game. I love how his introduction is kind of like, well, I'm stuck in another timeline with yakisoba bread.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, that's so stupid.
Yeah, but I can understand. I can understand why you would think of it that way. But once you get through the later parts of his story with Okino and stuff, it gets good. I think, doesn't it?
I think everyone around him gets interesting, but him as a character,
Okay, he's still trash.
yeah, he's still kind of like, it's weird because everyone to me went from, I think there was a moment where I really disliked Iori because like just at her appearance, her being tired all the time.
Understandable.
But then by the end of the story, I was like, man, she is super cool.
Dude, yeah, I love her storyline too. Like, she has the twist on her character. I'm like, whoa.
Exactly. And then for me, Hijiyama is pretty consistent the whole time.
Yeah.
And it sucked because what the thing that grew was the characters around him in his story arc, like Okino, like he grew to be a very interesting character, and I was like, wow, like it sucks that for whatever reason Hijiyama is just not appealing to me, but everyone else. I guess I wouldn't say it's weak. It's just that it wasn't for me. Is what
Yeah,
Mhm.
even though it wasn't for me, so far I haven't finished her storyline, but it's still like I'm like almost done. It's Shinonome, the girl that is like with the bandages and
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
She and her obsession with the what's the name?
Ida.
Yeah, Ida is like kind of like so weird to me, and like the entire time I was like, oh, it's strange, and the guys just kept telling her that it's like almost like, yeah, you're special, but you know, like you're special because I need you, not because I like you. And the entire time I'm like, oh, this is so weird. Like I can't really like root for her either because I think it's stupid.
But you're gonna enjoy the ending of her story. If that's your concern with the where you're at
It's
with
not
this
my
one.
concern. I just find it weird. That's all.
Okay, well, it's going to change at some point, and it's going to be better. I think at least. We'll talk about it once you get there. But her story gets better near the end. I don't know if Larrue, you can agree with that.
Her story is one of my favorites.
Really, no, I don't think I don't think it's bad.
No.
Her
Yeah.
storyline like fills in a lot of the other spots. You know, like what's going on with Juro and everything, or herself and everything. And
Yeah.
I really like that. I really love the way that like you see like a different part of like their characters, or whatever, or like whatever they said, then they forgot about it, and you have like that perspective. I love when they do that. Like I don't remember, and then you have like a recall, the recall going back in time to that particular moment and everything. I love doing those things. I thought it was pretty cool. What about you, David? Though, what was there a character you didn't like?
Not really. That's what I was saying. Like I thought all the stories were really interesting. For me, the fact that you could just experience the same plot twist with different perspective was is something that I really enjoyed. So no particular story that I didn't like that much, but I can talk about what one that I liked personally. One character that I like more than the others. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I had a small preference for Yuki Takamiya, like her whole storyline, the fact that she's with the SIU and her attitude, all of that is just it's just really good, and that's one story part that was funny to me. Unlike the Yakisoba Pan, that was interesting at least, and that was funny. I thought so.
I could definitely 100%
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, man. I mean, she's just so cool. Like when Wajima and his goons are just trying to jump her, and she's like, just destroying all of them. Like she's just straight up savage. And even at some point, she's talking with Ida, that she's calling Four Eyes, by the way, and she just calls him a son of a bitch right away, right there on the spot. Even though he's like the top man of his association, like it's just really funny to me. I really liked her
I
storyline.
like her storyline. I think it's pretty good. I really like her character design too.
Yeah,
Like,
she's cool.
Like I'm in love with that character design. Like, yeah, she's best girl.
Yeah.
I love.
And the way that she reacts as well with Amiguchi, who's like really loving her, it's really funny. It's really cool. Like she's just always turning him off. Like he's like let's go on my bike and let's drive around town, and she's like, hell no. So
Speaking of like romantic interest, I have like not a complaint, but like a thing that I want to point out. Like this game is a mess when it comes to like keeping up with who's into who. Because you're like sometimes like there's like this person likes this person likes this other person, and this person is interested in this other person, and like it's hard to keep up with who's liking who.
oh, you thought so?
Yeah, no, yeah, because everybody's like romantically interested with other people in the game. Like, where is everybody like, into each other?
Well, everyone's in a relationship or wants to be in a relationship at some point. Like once you get to the end, you when the credits roll, you see that like everyone basically has like a partner near the end. So yeah, they definitely try to do something in that aspect with every single one of their characters, which I can understand that it can be confusing at times.
I don't know. I don't find it confusing. I much feel like I don't feel like, and I love romance stories and stuff like that. Like I love like shoujo manga and stuff like that. But I feel like this particular story that didn't need to have like every single character has a relationship.
Yeah,
You know?
I can agree with that for sure.
I don't feel like that's how like, and I'm gonna say like reality, but that's not like how romance works. Like you're not friends with a group of people and they just suddenly like everybody's dating each other or something. I don't like, to me that's so strange. Like that, like it's okay to have friendships, you know, like that. That's good too. Like I don't want everybody to end up with everybody. But yeah, like in this game, like everybody's just into everybody for some reason, and I thought it was kind of weird.
Maybe it
But
was a
it's
bit
cool.
too much.
Cool. It's not my style of like romance stories or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can understand that for sure. What are you guys' favorites?
In terms of story,
Yeah. Well, story, character, both.
well, I love delinquents. So for me, Yuki and Ogata like were like already high up there. And then I liked Keita Miuria a lot too.
Oh yeah, his story was cool.
It's probably easier to point out people I don't like, because in general, like I really liked everyone, but Ogata and Yuki were like top scoring for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I really liked Iori. Iori was another one that I was like, wow, this, and it's hard to like explain it because you know the way that her story is. I don't want to like go too into spoilers because I know that someone here hasn't beat it yet, but cause I literally beat it while we were. But no, like everyone is so good. Ogata is my favorite though, and his story
He's cool.
Where it like because every single story is like a reference to a sci-fi movie or a sci-fi book, and his references this more modern sci-fi movie where this guy is trying to figure out he's basically keeps getting sent back into this train and he has to figure out
Oh yeah.
what's going on.
I was just about to point that part out.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I wasn't sure if it was worth noting, but like because of that reference, I was like, this is this is cool. They do it even better than the movie did.
Ah, yeah, that section I liked it so much. Like with the train section, it was great the way that they did it.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually been playing through that particular part, and I love that whole sequence. I really like that. Speaking of references to sci-fi, I have been the other side. I actually really like um, whenever you start playing with Juro,
Mhm.
because he's also huge into sci-fi. But all the sci-fi that he likes is like old school sci-fi, like Jules Verne, kind of like old school, really really old school sci-fi. And I
Yeah.
love all the reference to like War of the Worlds and H.G. Wells and everything, because those are like really like old school sci-fi stories and everything. And that's like I'm really into that kind of stuff, and I really like that a lot. I think they also made a Back to the Future reference at some point too, and I just love all the time traveling references or like the sci-fi, old school sci-fi references they do. Like, this is a passion project to me. Like, this felt like
Yeah,
the people that made this game like we are so much into sci-fi. Like, this is like their passion project of like all these other games that they've done so far. This is like a passion project. They're so like into sci-fi. They want to do some homage to like to it, and it feels like that. Like, if you're a sci-fi fan, this game is like was made for you.
Yeah.
absolutely. Like the way that they developed on that is really impressive. I honestly I didn't know all most of the thing that you just said about the references to sci-fi because I don't know much about that genre, unfortunately. But I can see that it was well done even without that knowledge. So, and that particular train section, yeah, it was worth bringing it up. I really liked it, and like when you just, I don't know how many times you get on that darn train after you're done with it, but at a certain point, like Tomi's standing there, and at the first time that you were experiencing that train section, you were just talking to her, and then like the fourth time or third time, you were just straight up leaving, and she was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you're just leaving in front of her, knowing exactly that you had to go to, let's say, Okino or Karabe or something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely a top section for me for that one. Um, yeah, so that's pretty cool. One other thing that I liked personally was Sekigahara's story. I liked it.
Yeah.
The
Really interesting.
the fact that he like lost his memory at some point, and that you had to like listen to the stories, not the stories, but the how did it happen? The voice call, like he received like a note with a, oh man, how did they call it? A voice number or something, like when he called that particular number that he found on the
Yeah,
note.
it's like a voicemail or something.
Voicemail, yes. Yeah, something like that. Basically, he just called, and then he saw the vision, or he heard the vision of himself talking to him because he knew that this would happen. I thought that was really cool, really intriguing as well.
Which character are we talking about?
Sekigahara,
Oh yeah.
when he found
I
like the note next to Morimura's body.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? What's one thing that I kind of want to jump into? The 2D side scrolling exploration thing that they did in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys okay with talking about that?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So one thing that I kind of enjoyed but kind of don't is this almost feels like one of those point and click adventures where you're almost like exploring an area. You're kind of like doing different things. I feel like that this game does it half right, half that like most of the time it's like really really cool. But sometimes like you have no idea what you're supposed to do to unlock the next scenario. You're just like going around like trying to point into things until you trigger something, which kind of like that's kind of annoying me a little bit because sometimes I feel like I was just wasting time trying to like find the right thing. I think there was one story that I was just I think it's Megumi
Megami, yeah,
Natsume.
maybe.
Is that her? I don't know. The girl with the sports girl that runs.
Oh no, that's
Oh
Minami.
no.
Natsuno, yeah.
Natsuno. Yeah, Natsuno. Yeah, her. There's a part where she's like, um, she has to do some different stuff to like unlock the other. And I couldn't like I kept like going around. I'm like, I don't even know how to trigger the next stuff. Like I keep running around over and over again trying to find out how to do it. And I finally I figured it out and everything. But it was like man, I don't know what's going on right now.
Mm.
Did you guys have any difficulties with that stuff?
It happened once for me. It wasn't with Minami. It was with Takamiya. Actually, there's one part with her. I think it was like 28% of remembrance. I was just stuck. Like you start on the roof, the new rooftop of the school, and I had no clue where to go. Normally, I used to like just open the menu where you could see like the parkour basically that you can that gives you clues of where to go to proceed with the story. There's one part with her that I was stuck, like I had no clue where to go. But other than that, it wasn't really a problem. But yeah, for that part with Takamiya, I had to to run around a lot before I found it out. Did it happen to you, Larrue?
Trying to think of it. I think I think it only really happened with I forget who it is. I want to say that it's Megumi, where you're in the hall where, like, one thing that I didn't really like notice until like I got a little bit more than halfway into the game is that everyone kind of has like their hub where they like that's where you're gonna always reload into. But there's it wasn't Megumi, it was Shinonome, where you have to talk to one of the characters. They tell you to run.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I kept not knowing what to do for like one of the instances where you have to run, and it was confusing me because I would like take all her pills, and I'm like, cool.
Oh yeah.
I didn't do anything. Like,
good point. I struggled with that one as well. So yeah, twice it happened twice to me. Yeah, that one I struggled. I couldn't figure out where to go, and I was just running out of pills as well. So yeah, that one was problematic for me as well.
I know which one you exactly which one you're talking about. I didn't actually have a trouble with that one. I actually thought it was cool to have the mechanic of having her continuously drinking her medicine or taking her medicine. I loved it. Was like a pretty interesting mechanic to have in her story. Because the screen starts getting like blue or like blurry and everything. You're kind of like you cannot see how she's feeling and everything. I really liked that mechanic. I thought it was pretty interesting.
And I think let's talk about it real quick. What's the name of the third girl? Like in that particular section, the one that Goda was talking with. What's her name?
The one that's not a playable character.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name.
Is it Miwako? Miwako?
Yeah, Miwako.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I don't remember her full.
How cute is she? Honestly, let's talk about it real quick. Like every single time that she talks, like she wouldn't hurt a fly. Like honestly, how cool is she? It's impressive.
Yeah. I was hoping that she was gonna be a playable character. I was like, no, I already have the. Like she's not part of the campaign, but I was kind of hoping that somehow we will get a story for her.
Oh yeah.
Like, perspective or something like that. But she's just a character there, and it's anything that she's like. I don't know. She reminds me of Haru from Persona 5. I think it's the same voice actor, right?
Oh, that might be the case. I'll check that out because it makes a lot of sense.
Same voice actor. I don't know. Her voice is used like.
Oh boy, I cannot pronounce her name though, so I have the name right here, and then we'll see. 13 Sentinels.
She reminds me of Hifumi from Persona 5, where, she was so likable that I kind of wanted to, like, play as her, and then it's like, oh, she's just a person.
Who?
I'm forever gonna be sad about that, actually. When I found out that she was supposed to be a Phantom Thief at some point in development, I was like, oh, it just makes it sad for me.
Darn, I can find it. I can find her name for the voice actor of Miwako. I have Haru's voice actor, but I don't have the one for Miwako. She's kind of a secondary character, so. Oh yes, that's her. You're right, Kuro. That's her. Yeah, she tweeted about that on Twitter. Yeah, I'll tag you guys, but she's the voice actor, and that's the same girl from Haru. So, hey.
Hell yeah, I was like, I knew her voice sounded familiar. I was like, she reminded me of Haru for some reason.
Yeah.
Morgana's voice actor is also in the game, right?
Yep, she's doing that's like one of my favorites. It's Tomi Kasaragi.
Yeah, she's also a really good character. I love her storyline and the whole Android thing and everything. It's freaky as hell, but I love this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's also one of my favorites. It was Cassandra Lee Morris. That's her name, I think, and that's one of my favorites. Yep, exactly. So she had I mean, I wanted to talk about that real quick as well, but the whole voice acting cast in English, What a great surprise. What a great surprise. Like the fact that they delayed the game just like a week or two for the English voice acting, or at least that's what they told us. I wasn't expecting much. But that cast, man, was really good. Really,
Yeah,
really good.
it was really good voice acting. You're right. I actually hadn't thought about it, but all the voice acting and all the things in English and everything was pretty good. I actually didn't catch more of a bad grammar in this game as opposed to like some of the Persona games or the SMT games. Like overall, I feel like this was a pretty good job, even though they had like less time and probably less
Mm-hmm.
resources than normal. They did a pretty good job. I want to commend them on that one too.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I was pleasantly surprised by the voice acting. I wasn't expecting much because of, the small delay that we got, but man, they did a good choice with this voice acting cast for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I was alternating between the Japanese and English voice acting because I had this weird thing where some characters I really love their Japanese voice or I would really love their English voice. Like and I just keep reminding myself they recorded this English voice acting in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Like like this is a struggle for them to actually get it through, and they not only did they like picked character or voice actors who really matched the character, but they also did a really good job despite like how 2020 has been thus far. So I definitely have to commend them for and initially I was like I'm not gonna ever play it in English, but I basically did half and half, and
Oh,
both teams did very very good.
I bet.
Yeah.
Very cool. Did you know that at the same time while we were talking about the voice acting, did you know that the voice actor behind Takamiya is actually Laura Post, which is also Kasumi in P5R?
Oh wow,
That's a
that was
surprise.
that was
That was a surprise when I learned about that because the voices are very different, but it's the same person behind them.
oh wow, that's crazy. That's cool. It's good to know.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know about that. I found that out when I was working on my review. It's interesting, but they have some big names under that for that game. It's really cool what they
Yeah,
were able
pretty
to do.
impressive. It's a good game overall. I feel like the everything that I played in the game so far, it's so far is coming up for Game of the Year or competing for Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's how I feel about the game so far, and way better than I saw a post that somebody had about RPGs that they played this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking of this game when I was thinking of the post. I was like, yeah, this game's like up there. Like I'll put it personally. Like I don't feel too strong on Persona 5 when it comes to like best RPG of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good RPG, but after playing it a few times already, I'm kind of like a little over Persona 5 at
Yep.
this point. When you play it as much as I do, I'm a little tired of it. So I'm like, this game is definitely some refreshing to play.
Mm-hmm. While we're talking about that, game of the year contender, do we can we all agree on that? At least
Yeah,
for us, obviously it's not going to be at Kelly's show because yeah, I don't have to justify myself, but for us, I think it's a contender for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. There's very like I'm someone who's pretty much not. I don't really play that many games to be honest. So because I'm like very particular. There's games that I played that I'd never finish, like The Last of Us, for instance. I didn't really care for that game. But when I think of like the games that came out this year, like the only two games that I really really enjoyed were Will of the Wisps, the Ori sequel,
Yeah,
and
nice.
this game. This game is by far not just a good story, but it's great gameplay, and it's really rare for me to be engaged in the gameplay the entire time. But yeah, easily. I hope it wins some accolade, to be honest, in the West, because it won a bunch in the East. So
Yeah, I hope so.
yeah,
Very good game. Grade out of 10. Now's the time.
definitely. Yeah, I totally encourage anybody that is listening to this podcast. If you're still here and you haven't played this game, go buy this game. Like, this is
Yeah,
definitely worth the purchase. I think. I see a lot of
absolutely.
people waiting for like a discount or something like that. It's understandable, but I feel like at this point there's nothing in October to the point that you should not be playing this game. Like if you have the opportunity to play the game, I mean, it's like October 14th. We can play this game.
Mm-hmm.
So, can't wait.
The big games are coming for
Yeah,
November, but
November's gonna be busy. It's
mm-hmm.
gonna be a busy month for games.
Again, it depends. Larrue, do you have any games to play in November with what you just said? Anything that you're looking forward to for the rest of the year?
Oof. I'm trying to even. I can't even think of any games that are coming out from now until December. Like, there's nothing that stands out except Nocturne HD Remaster. That is
Oh yeah.
pretty much the only game. I know it doesn't really count because it's like a Japanese release, but I have like 4 copies.
Yeah, you got the collector's edition, right?
I have 4 collector's editions.
Oh wow. I won't ask you to justify that purchase though.
I'm just irrational when it comes to like games that I care about, and I wanted to get the Chinese one because it comes with the shirt, and then I wanted the like super duper one because it comes with the bracelet.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna be playing that. That's like the only thing that I'm really looking forward to. I don't know what else is coming out this year. What about you guys? Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to for November?
Like a Dragon, Yakuza, and
Snap, I forgot about that.
yeah, I thought you would mention Yakuza, but Yakuza and also Zelda. But that would be it for the rest of the year for me.
Oh man, I have a bunch of games. I have the Spider-Man game. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so I have to play this game. And then there is the Zelda game and Cyberpunk 2077. I love the aesthetic of Cyberpunk. So to me, like I'm just so excited for that game. I know there's a lot of hype for this game, and it's like cool, like everybody's gonna play it. But to me, I'm really excited to see like the Cyberpunk game. You know, like that's what I want. So the game is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for this. I want to play a Yakuza game, and I'm probably gonna get like a dragon, but it's gonna be a while before I play it.
Probably a great place to start since it's kind of a reboot. So
Yeah, I heard about that, and I heard that there's also been a lot of changes to the gameplay too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, the combat
So
system is now turn-based. So
I'm excited to check that out, but it will be a while before I play it.
mm-hmm.
I have these 3 games are already gonna like take all of the month for me to like play through and everything, even
Yeah.
more than that probably.
For sure.
I wanted to play Demon Souls, however, I don't have a PS5, and it's not coming for PC, so I'm gonna have to wait for that later.
Understandable. Just before we move on, Larrue, I have to put you on the spot for a quick moment, if you'll allow me. You said you become irrational when it comes to a game that you really love. Now you have to explain to me, why did you buy 4 of the Sega Game Gear Micro? Can you justify that real quick? I understand the red one I bought as well
So
for
the
Last
reason why
Bible.
is because Huh? Yeah, for Last Bible, but the reason why I bought the full set is because Rakuten did a thing where if you bought their limited edition, it comes with pins that are shaped like the different games that are featured in each cartridge or each micro. And since one of the pins was Last Bible, I was like,
Oh, really?
Oh,
this is the only Last Bible merch that exists. So I'm going to buy it. I'm gonna buy this dumb.
Okay, well done. I was not expecting a good answer like this. What did you say was the name of the retailer?
If you can find any.
can we talk about how much for rip-off these things are though? They only come with 4 games, right?
Yep.
But now that you guys mentioned those other games, sorry, go ahead.
I think you can go.
Sorry, what was that?
I think you can go. No problem. What were you about to say?
Oh, I was gonna just say that since you guys brought up all those other games, I forgot about those. I am looking forward to like the Like a Dragon Yakuza game, and I'm also looking forward to the new. I don't know. I'm basically all the games you guys mentioned are games that are on my radar too. Except I'm not super into Spider-Man, but I do like Miles Morales as a Spider-Man, so
Cool.
I will get that game as well. But I'm not.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? But yeah, I am so like focused on Megaten all the time that I forget Like I know I pre-ordered Cyberpunk, and I just don't even remember that it's coming out. It's gonna just show up as a surprise.
Surprised you have to play it. But yeah, I think it comes out
Yeah.
on the same day as the Zelda game.
Oh, I'm not a Zelda fan, so
Oh,
I'll only have Cyberpunk. Yeah.
Isn't Yakuza coming
So,
out like at the same time as well, or very close to it?
oh God, it's gonna be a busy month.
Yeah, it is a busy month. I think
it's gonna
yeah,
be
like
a
yeah.
really busy month.
Yakuza's launch day, so it's the November 13, I think, or is it 11? I'm not too sure. And then Zelda is like 17. No, it's the next week, I think. So it's not too bad, but still, I don't know how long is Yakuza though. How long is that one? Since it's kind of different, I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm curious about that. About that last Bible pin though. To come back to that real quick. Do you have it already? Did you receive yours?
No, no. Rakuten did this weird thing where they were supposed to all ship together in a box, but then they sent me this weird notification that they're shipping the pins and stuff separate.
Oh,
So I got all the micros, and now I'm waiting for the next box, which is gonna have the pins, and I was like really sad because I wanted to like open them all together.
of course. Hey, once you have that, I want to see this definitely because that seems very obscure.
Yeah.
Very cool. I wasn't expecting that kind of answer. Nice. um, just to come back to Vanillaware and 13 Sentinels real quick. Do you guys think is a sequel even possible for this game, or at least some type of sequel if it doesn't follow like the same characters or anything similar to this game? Is it a possibility?
So I would like to see not a sequel, but I would like to see the same type of storytelling with a different story altogether. Like let's say that they do the best thing that they do. So they do really good storylines when it comes to like medieval setting and everything. Obviously they did Odin Sphere and they did the other game that I keep
Dragon's
forgetting
Crown.
the name of, Dragon's Crown, yeah. So like they've done that before. So what if they did like a medieval style game with the same storyline as this one? Maybe with like turn-based RPG and everything. It could be like a good competitor for that other game with a similar setting. What is that called? I don't know. I forgot the name of it. It's an RPG where you have like different characters and you play the stories.
Octopath Traveler?
Octopath Traveler, yeah. Like this will be like if they did this with turn-based RPG in like the same setting, I think
Mm-hmm.
this would kill that game like
Yeah.
completely.
Octopath Traveler is interesting that you bring this game up right now because this is like complete opposite of 13 Sentinels. Like the major complaint that I had with Octopath Traveler was that they have 8 characters. The 8 characters are all really memorable and really likable. Both, well, all of the stories of the 8 characters are interesting, but they have zero, nothing to do basically altogether. Like the characters, they don't have a common story. It's just 8 separate stories that you play. So that was my major complaint with this game. And now in 13 Sentinels, not only do all of the stories are interesting, or at least most of them, but they also have one amazing common story. So that is, yeah, again, the storytelling for this game is on a whole nother level.
Yeah. So like
Yeah,
if I were to say maybe not a sequel, but maybe something like that. That's what I would like to see. I think it would be interesting.
Cool.
yeah,
But
that actually sounds good. My thing is like I love that they're doing the manga adaptation because I just can't even like fathom how you can tell the story in any other form because it's so intricate. I'm excited to read the manga, but I would actually want to just see it in other media. Like if the manga goes well, then I would like to see it as an anime.
an anime, yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Oh my god, an anime for this game would be beautiful. Because this, one thing that I want to talk about with Vanillaware games, the artwork that they do for these games is so
Oh man.
beautiful and like intricate. Everything just feels like a picture, like a painting, like a moving painting. I don't know how to even explain it, but I really love the way that they do it. Backgrounds in these games are insane. Like all of them are so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and really well crafted.
Oh yeah.
And going from that 2D side scroll where there's actually a depth, like there's a depth to that 2D that you have, that you can walk to the corner of the room, but it still feels 2D. Like I really love how they did that perspective and everything like that. The music in this game is really good too. We haven't even talked about the music at all, but I feel like although it's not particularly like really good music, it's really memorable for the game itself. And I just love that interaction with the music and the artwork. I think I really like that so much.
Oh yeah, the artwork is 10 out of 10, easily. The just one scene in particular at the beginning of the game that just struck me of how beautiful this game is in Juro's prologue when you're just in the classroom and the sun is like glaring on the desk inside the classroom. It's like, oh man, this is like way more impressive to me than like some just a game with beautiful realistic graphics. Like this is just so much better, to me at least. And we're not even talking about the soundtrack yet. I mean, the whole soundtrack has been playing. You guys can hear it, but on stream, I just have the soundtrack running, and it's an amazing soundtrack. Really, really liked it. And I was listening to this soundtrack even before the game released. Like, I'm a big music guy, but hey, that soundtrack was his fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what I wanted to talk about for the look. Hey, one thing about the performance of this game, Spencer SMT Network wanted me to point out that this game is basically a 4K version of a Vita game. Any thoughts?
No, I think Larrue literally just said that in the comments in a
Oh,
different
really?
way. Yeah, he didn't say that particular comment, but he said the resolution Vanillaware works on makes it for a more timeless look.
Yeah,
And I think that I totally agree with that.
absolutely.
The way that they made that game, it's like stunningly like detailed. Yeah, like in a PS Vita, like it will make sense. But now you're watching it in 4K on the screen, and like, yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, so the reason why I said that is because for Odin Spheres and I believe for Dragon's Crown as well, when they were doing the remasters of those, they didn't actually redraw anything. All they did was just use files that were like use the same files, but they just would output it to be a higher resolution. The only reason why the resolution was capped is because of limitations of the hardware. So they actually just work really huge file sizes. So, but I thought that was funny. And one of the things I will say about the way this game looks is this is one of the only games where literally any screenshot you can take a screenshot of any moment of the game and it just looks like a drawing someone.
Yeah,
did.
absolutely. Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just can't, you know.
And that's worth a lot right there. Like, I mean, not every game can do that. For sure. Like the art style, that's the first thing that you even Grim Grimoire, like we talked about that before. Like this game, we don't hear anyone talk about it. When I read that interview, I was like, okay, let me type that into Google to see how it looks like, and right away it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's Vanillaware, of course. Like it's the first thing that you realize when you look at any type of their work. It strikes right away the art style and the way that they do their art.
I don't think they've only gotten better when it comes to the way that they do their games and everything. Like every game that they do is just better looking than the last one, but in like a really weird artsy style. Like the art is just beautiful. I really love the art in these games. Like that is my favorite thing about them. Like he said, just the screenshots. One thing that I like particularly, since we're talking about this particular subject, is there's a light source. So they do like the lightning for particular sections of the game, especially when the sun is like hitting the spot.
Oh
And
yeah.
you see like sun rays and everything. It's like so like bright and like almost like an old timey feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like really bright, and there's like the shadows on the characters and everything. It's just fantastic. I don't know how they made the game, but it's really good. I really like it a lot.
And when you'll see the at the end of every single character's playthrough, they get into their sentinel, so they summon their sentinels and they get in, and the animation that they have for this and the way that they did it is really impressive. Really impressive. That's one thing that I really loved.
Yeah, I would agree actually.
The endings, like, oh man, and just the way that they activate their sentinels, how cool is that? Like, just like moving their like touching where they have the nanomachines, and then the Sentinels drops. There's all the lightning around them. It's, oh man, amazing.
Yeah, it's. I really feel like that's like an homage to Terminator, because that's like how when he's summoned through time, that's what
Mhm.
happens. Lightning strikes.
That's
Mm-hmm.
like this game has so many Terminator references. In fact, there's a movie in this game called Exterminator. And there's so many references and so many talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how Exterminator does it. And every time they say something about it, I'm like, I'm dying right now. But yeah, this is like a combination between Terminator and War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And like Frank in the chat, he actually brought up the other really funny references in Natsuno's storyline with BJ. They make references to EXT, which is like ET.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love this stuff. It's so good. It really fleshes out the like as soon as you pick up all those different references, you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm right at home with this kind of stuff. This is
Yep.
what's so right.
And just when BJ's in your bag, like the way that he gets his head out, it's clearly ET. Like you can't miss it.
Yeah,
Yeah, those again, just small touches that again we can see that the developers put their heart into it, and it's small things that make the overall experience so great. Um, I have one thing to talk about while we were quickly talking about the performance of this game. I'm not a performance guy, so I want to have you guys' take on that. I was playing on a regular PlayStation 4, so I don't have a PS Pro. And during combat, at times there was some severe frame drops. Did you guys experience that as well? When like there's too many, like you're hitting too many enemies at the same time, it just drops like real hard.
yeah, that happened to me. Like in I forget which chapter of the three main ones that they have, but there was a moment where I guess there was just too many things on the screen, and then I did one of the multi-hit attacks that like attacks almost everything on the
Yeah,
screen. And when you start using the meta gauge stuff, I did all those things back to back, and it was hardcore frame drops.
absolutely. Yeah, I can see that. And
Yeah,
d-
Yeah.
c- can you see this being like one of the reasons why they decided to drop the Vita version? Like, do you think that would have been a problem?
if I remember correctly, it was more like budget and time constraints.
Okay.
They were like super behind on when they went projected to release it, because they're supposed to come out, or the plan was I think 2018, or and it just got pushed back because of the Vita and because of like other things happening. Um, so I feel like it was that, and then it was also like an unfamiliarity with the RTS thing in the modern day, because
Mm,
yeah, they're a small company. I don't imagine that even just because they're huge fans of RTS that they'd be able to like build a system that would like handle it. I'm also not tech savvy, by the way, so I'm probably using wrong terminology. But it did feel like whenever I was in the battle, if I saw a lot of enemies, I'm like, man, okay, well, like welcome to frame drop country.
yeah.
A similar thing happens sometimes when you're running your character in like the two going in depth, not 2D, not 2D on the side scrolling, but going into a spot. You know when you're going from point A to point B, like on a straight line, not in the sideline. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? When you do that, sometimes the character kind of like it chops off a little bit to go back. Like it doesn't feel really smooth. Like when you walk on a straight line, it's fine on a side. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
on a side scrolling, it's fine. But when you go from point A to B on like in depth, it almost feels like a little awkward a little bit sometimes. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but it's like almost like not working correctly. I don't know if that makes sense at all. But sometimes like when I was trying to like find something on the spot or something, I'm like, why is that feels like choppy at times? Um, I don't know if that's like an animation issue more than like a frame drop issue. But I found that out. But on the other side, I really like how they did animations for like the running and everything like that. Like when you run fast and you stop, they do kind of like this side step thing that they like slide a little bit. Do you guys notice that at all?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
actually one of the things I would do every time I tried a new character. I would do the run just to see what their stop would be like.
Yeah, like I love those all different animations because it doesn't make sense. Like normally, like in a game like that, that would be like a thing that you wouldn't even do to pay mind to do. But I really love like if you run for quite a bit, then they do like this flight thing to the side. I don't know if you noticed Larrue, but if you do that and there's like a water or something on the floor, there's actually an animation with the water kind of like
Oh,
droplets.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't even notice
I
that.
didn't know
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
same.
I was like, I was streaming and I was doing that, and when I did it on the water, like it was splashing all over and everything. I was like, wow, that is attention to detail that I would have not thought that I would do for 60 days.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that at first. Interesting. I have actually one last topic to talk about, except if you guys have anything else afterwards, of course we can also talk about it. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's just discussion and speculations. We don't have nothing to go off of for this, but do you guys think, or maybe in which direction do you think Vanillaware is going to go for its next release? Do you think they're going to keep it like something very story heavy and story focused like this game, or do you think they're going to go like more action style like Audience Sphere or Dragon's Crown or their later games?
I hope they do it like this actually, because this to me, like I liked Odin Sphere, I liked Muramasa. Or sorry, I like Dragon's Crown, I like Muramasa, but like they're so story light and the story was kind of like simple that I didn't like they don't stand out to me. But this like hardcore stands out because you can make they. I already knew they could make a competent game, but now I know they can make a competent story. So
Yep.
I would like to continue to do hardcore story driven stuff.
Yeah, I would like to see
Same.
a balance between the storytelling that they did here with a better, like more in depth gameplay. Like if they did again, like I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. If they did something like this, what they did with the story, like a really well story written with wonderful written characters, and then a really well developed RPG. Like I would love to see like if they want to do 2D, they can still do like a 2D. Oh man, what is this? I don't know, kind of RPG they could do, but like something really in depth with a lot of different mechanics and everything. I could see this like even getting a bigger. I feel like the RTS doesn't really help to promote this game a lot, but if they did a more popular type of RPG, even on the 2D spectrum, I think they would do like really good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think we can all agree on that point. Like they did such a great job with the story and the even if it's like very different in general from what they did, I think that's a better approach at least to the type of games that they can create. Like that this game for me is better than their last few games. Even if it's very different. I feel confident saying this. It's like it's that good. Like I want them to keep experiencing with deep stories and maybe try to switch it up with the gameplay style. Not that I disliked RTS, but what if they try turn-based or I wouldn't say action. Like I don't think that's a good idea, but turn-based, I think they could do something really cool with it.
Turn-based, yeah. I can see a turn-based 2D RPG
Mm-hmm.
with really good story like this one. I think that would really like get some people to get this game.
Yeah.
See, I'm the other way. I want them to keep doing RTS because when I was researching for this for like my first video about it, we talk about how much the whole team loves RTS a lot, and to me their bare bones version of it that's in this game kind of shows it. So
Good
what I want
point.
them to do is just to kind of build on that and do it more, and I want to see like how far they can push it so so they can make a very competent RTS, not just one that's kind of simple like this one is.
That's a very good point because even if it's just as you said, even if it's just a base and it's more simple, it's still really good and it's still very well done. And we're three people here on stream who aren't familiar with this type of system and we all liked it and we all thought it was really accessible. Even if, let's be honest, when you look at it at first, just when I remember just watching Japanese gameplay of the combat and I was like, what the hell is this? But when you play it, easy to get into, easy to understand. Maybe it's because it's simple, but hey, I mean, if they were to expand on the RTS and make it just a bit different and more in depth, I would be down as well. Clearly, with a great story, there's something that they can do here.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. So that was the other, well, let's say the last little thing, which is still in the same direction, is again their next release. When do you think we'll see it, and when do you think they'll release it? Hardcore speculating here, by the way.
I don't know. This game had a little bit of a struggle. Well, I will say a little bit is kind of like an understatement. Really. This game had a lot of delays and a lot of stuff that they worked through. So I don't see it that we'll have a game for quite some time. Um, like the earliest that I'll see an announcement for something will be probably like 2025 or something like that. And again, just keep in mind that Vanillaware is such a small studio. Like they don't release games often. So I don't see a game coming out anytime soon or being announced either.
Mm-hmm. And ILS in the chat mentioned that Vanillaware is a team of 29 employees. So that's not a lot of people for the ambitions that they have with their games. Like I can imagine I can, that can justify the delay for this game. I mean, that's a major release that they have on their hands here. 29 people doesn't seem like a lot to me.
That's cool. I mean,
I can't wait to
and
see what they will do next.
and this project in and of itself wasn't even supposed to be that big. There's part of why the projection of its release was supposed to be a lot earlier was because this was only supposed to take a fraction of the team, but it ended up taking the entire studio to like pump it out.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they went with Atlas to like help produce it because most of the staff at Vanillaware are former Atlas staff. Um, so it's for me. I think that we'll probably get an announcement of something else within maybe like 2022. Because if you think about when this game came out in Japan, it's only been like a year or so. They've exceeded their expectations in terms of sales. So
Mm-hmm.
if they started this game's development right at the release of the re-release of Dragon's Crown, like Dragon's Crown Pro. So I think that that they're probably already working on whatever the next game is. So we will probably give them like a 3 or 4 year development cycle.
Nice.
So yeah, maybe something like 2023 or so, 24.
Oh, I hope so because I will look forward to what they do next. Anything, I'll keep a close eye, and of course, I also think that I'll jump into their backlog of games. I mean, I'll check out Grim Grimoire at some point as well, and I didn't play Muramasa for whatever reason. My Vita collection is way too small, so I definitely will look at this game as well. It looks interesting. So yeah, overall, amazing experience with 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Extremely good game, extremely good story. Art style is wow. Honestly, I think we covered it really well. The soundtrack is good. Everything about this game is really good. So I can't recommend it enough. Any final thoughts? Any final words that you guys want to say to everyone here who's in the chat who might want to hear
Actually,
something more?
I have more of a question of like I guess the question is more. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but like your favorite like male character, female character. Like, does it have to be a protagonist? It could be like anyone in the game.
Good question. Female, I really think I'll keep my word and I'll say Yuki Takemiya. I really liked her story, her personality, everything about her was great. And if I had to choose a male, and Kuro, since you're not done, you might not agree with me yet, but we'll talk about it in a week or so when you're done. But I think I'll go with Renia Goto for a male.
Oh,
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. He's so far my least favorite character, but I wouldn't say that he's a bad character. I just feel like the perspectives that I've played so far doesn't allow me to kind of like him yet. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
this game is all about perspective. It's
Yep.
not really about like who's a bad character or a bad guy. Because I don't feel like this game particularly has bad guys. Like it's not like sure you have the impending invasion or whatever that is going on, but other than that, like all the different characters' motivations are like pretty clear. So far, like I really like that a lot. My favorite characters. I love. I think Larrue mentioned this earlier, but I love this like the gangsters, but I love like the '80s Japanese gangsters,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
Ogata with his hairdo and everything. I love the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
So like Yuki and Ogata, like they're, and I love like when they're like together and everything like that because they also have like a really interesting uh, interactions with each other. I also really like Izumi's story or Yuro Kurabe
Yeah.
slash Izumi because I feel like it's really interesting. Like his perspective. Again, everybody's perspective is different, but I like particularly his story and everything because he's like I don't know the whole like creating a whole new personality for this person and then him being a completely different person at some point. It's like a pretty interesting subject on its own. Like if it was this story for one character, like his story alone, I feel like it could carry a pretty good storyline by itself. Not to mention there's 13 other, 12 other really good stories along with his.
Yep.
That kind of like I also like Shinonama's because she's also kind of like this like whatever she says right now she may not remember in like the next like mission that you do or whatever. And every time that you do one of her missions, like it's just like kind of building up onto something.
Absolutely. And you, Larue? What are your picks?
Um, still Ogata, by far best male character in the game. Like it's not even just that he's a delinquent, but it's also just he's funny. He's he's interesting, and his
Yeah.
actual story and the progression is cool. And then like all the reveals later, even his like even with the rest of the components of the story, it's just an interesting character. And then
Mm-hmm.
originally, I was talking about how much I like Yuki, but I also forgot that I also forgot about Ogata's love interest.
Yep.
So yeah, Tomi like ranks really high, and I think she might be my favorite female character, but I'm not sure. It's just it's not nothing about her design, but it's all the reveals that come later in the game, kind of like make her stand out to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Tommy is the girl that gets
The blonde
application
girl with the ponytails.
yeah, ponytails. When you learn the full story of Tomi, it's just like it's one of the ones that I was like, wow, I didn't
Yep.
see that coming. And then
Absolutely.
again, for most of the game, I was surprised that I would actually get the same character. Like some games, like Persona 5, I figured out what the big twist was before they revealed it. But with this game, most of the time, I would figure it out as the characters are figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, that's really cool pacing. Because
Yep.
yeah, and with Tomi, like I was like smirking when I found out. I'm like, man, I'm so dumb for not seeing this. Because it gives little hints for everything,
Yep.
and you have to pay attention.
it's
So
funny
well
also
done. So well
replay
done.
it. Whenever you replay like a mission or like I really love like you unlock this kind of like big timeline where everything kind of sits in a particular spot and as you're buying the memory I wouldn't say memories but you're buying like this particular you unlock these points and then you can buy the cutscene for it and everything and it kind of like adds up into a big timeline and everything you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, and I kind of like replaying through it because there's like you said, there's like so much setup for some stuff that you don't really catch up until you go back and kind of like, wow, like like the setup is there and all the clues are there and everything. There's some stuff that straight up just shocks you as soon as like I feel like this game has it did the episodic thing like when you watch a TV show, the episodic thing is like at the end of the episode there's like this hook that grabs you for the next
Mm-hmm.
episode, and this game does it every single small chapter, the 10-minute chapter that you did for this character. Like at the end, there's a twist or there's some kind of reveal. Like every
Yep.
single chapter of percentage of the game has some kind of reveal of some sort. Like there's no one that was like, oh, that was dumb or whatever. No, every single interaction that I had, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, let's go back and see what did I just see? There's like all these twists and those kind of like moments that you really want to continue with the story, and I really like that a lot.
Yep. It keeps you on your toes at all times. Like it's again and really well done. The way that they split it, the stories, like when they decide that okay, you're done with that chapter, you move on, you get to the next chapter, or you get to with another character's playthrough, it's always the right time. I felt like never during the playthrough I was like, okay, weird timing to just drop me there. Every time it made sense for me at least.
Now, I do want to point out something with that. There are some characters that kind of get really late into the story, like some characters that you really get them like at the very end, or much later. So like at this point, there are like there's like one or two characters that I still haven't unlocked yet, and I'm trying to do like the whole like finishing other characters and everything. But there's like some characters that I'm like so hooked into the story that I'm kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that I'm like getting a twist, I'm like, I need to continue this storyline. I need to know what's going on with this character and everything. It's every single time that I get a twist, I'm like, wait a minute, I really need to know more about this.
Yeah,
I love how they did that.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, just as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, it happens that you're like, oh man, I want to know what's going to happen next. But you're going to understand it easily, more easily at least, if you reach that point in the story with another character. Just as we mentioned, like if you try to keep it the same percentage with everyone, it works better. And I feel like that's the way that they intended you to play it. Mm-hmm. Even if at certain points you really do feel like you want to get through 100% with a character because you want to know what happens. But
and the game also does kind of like doesn't allow you to just do that.
Yeah, it blocks you at times. Yeah,
like you can only get through this point before having to get to like, for example, to get through your story, you have to like unlock like I think it was like 30% of everybody, or like 9 characters.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So that's so you know what's going on with him before you're gonna go again and get more information from him.
Exactly.
And I just really like how like all these other characters get to know each other, because there are some characters that they already know each other in their particular timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I call them timelines. They're not really timelines. It's one timeline, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And then whenever you get to see the other character, and they're kind of like, oh, this is how they met, or this is how like this happened. I just love this interaction with all these different characters, because all 13 of them like eventually know each other, but not all of them are like friends with each other. Mm-hmm. They just kind of happen to know each other somehow.
Yep.
And I just really loved like all these different interactions with each other. Like at no point was I like disappointed with like their meetings or anything. Even the stupid conversations, not like the very important ones, but just the kind of whatever conversations. Because let's face it, not everything that is going on in the story is always important. Like, there are some points that just like randomly talking about like random stuff that is just like it's for world building points.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really for like story purposes or anything. And I still find it interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not a bad thing because there's so much when it comes to the story that a small break, at least for me, was enjoyable when they were talking with other and character building. Just as you mentioned, it's again small touches that make the overall experience so good for me.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to talk about, guys, about that story, timelines, multiple dimensions, time travel?
Yeah, I think I really like the time travel in this game. I think it wasn't like used in a really bad sense, where kind of like the entire purpose of the game was written around the time traveling. Mm-hmm. So at no point do you ever feel like it was like bad or anything. I feel like it just fits so well. Like, it never feels like it's gonna be like a plot hole. Like the entire thing is written in a way that it doesn't feel like it's gonna be plot hole all over the place or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Larrue was talking about like there's some storylines where like the time travel like is really an issue, but the way that they wrote this game with time travel, like this is the storyline, and like putting it together like in such a way is like so interesting. Although it's hard. It's hard to comprehend without actually playing the story, because I know somebody's like, oh my god, timeline. So it's like, no, it's one storyline, like it's one timeline, but the way that they explain it and the way they put it together is so masterful. Is that even makes sense? Like, it's so clear and interesting. Like, it feels weird at first because I was like, wait, what's going on with all this stuff and everything? But whenever like it starts piecing together, like at the point that I am at right now, I have a pretty clear idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm like at no point am I lost, and I'm not even done with the game. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure like I have like a storyline, a timeline in my head where it kind of makes sense to me
Yeah.
and things. So it doesn't make you feel stupid all the time. Like, it makes you feel like pretty smart
Mm-hmm.
whenever you like learn stuff. You're
Yeah.
like, oh man, like I knew it. You know, like, it makes you feel good about like
Yeah.
what's
And every time that they're building up to something and you start to get lost, they drop the info so you understand what's going on. Like on Twitter, when people started to play the game at first, and I kind of played it for a long time when I just got the game. And people were saying like, I don't understand anything of what's going on. I was like, keep playing, and we'll talk about it later. You'll understand at some point.
yeah, and it's not even that you have to wait a lot. Like
No,
the way that the
absolutely.
pacing in this game works is so masterful that it doesn't make you feel like stupid about not knowing. Like you get it once you get to that point, you get it, and it's like they drop you all the information at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, yeah, this game is. Oh man, this game is really good. Any other points that you guys want to bring up? We ran through all my list of things that I wanted to talk about. We did a really good job.
Just play the game. Everyone, go buy the game right now. Don't wait
Please
for
do.
sale because we want them to make more games.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, trust me, Vanillaware needs all the money they can get for this game. Now, also needs to know that this game at least exists. Because
Yep.
let's face it here, I was did a drop the ball when it comes to marketing this game. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that this game at least sells enough for them to justify more Western releases. Like I don't know if I was even like will want to invest on like a dub and everything for this kind of games. Um, I'm really hoping that they can bring this game to the PC and maybe Switch to get maybe more people to play the game and everything. Because I just feel like this game is gonna like become one of those like um, never gonna be like super popular or anything like that. But I really wish it did.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's gonna end up on those hidden gem lists at some point in a few years, unfortunately, because again, I think I'm talking for the three of us here, but we all did our job basically of trying to spread word about this game. But we're not Atlas, we're not the publisher. We can't do the marketing of it, unfortunately. So they're the one to blame, I think, for the sales in the West. This game deserves to be successful. It is that good. At least I'm glad to hear that it did well in Japan. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah, at least the intended target audience did good. Because
Yeah,
you know,
for
let's
sure.
face it, this game was not made for the West.
Oh no,
It's a
definitely not.
really Japanese game. Like
Yep.
even with the translation and everything, unless you're into anime and Japanese games, this is not gonna like. It's like so Japanese that even the whole Yakisoba pan thing, which you guys thought it was pretty stupid. Like I thought it was pretty funny, but it's because it's like it's a gag. Like it's a really common gag in like Japanese like shows and everything. It's like a whole thing that they do on that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like seeing it here, I was like, oh, it's pretty funny, but I can see a lot of people just being completely like, yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Which is a thing, like a lot of Japanese games are not made for the West in any kind of shape or form.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And again, if they did well with their main audience, it's cool. That's what they had to do. That's the most important thing. Okay, I think now's going to be the right time to wrap things up. It was great to chat about this game with you guys. I want to do a quick shout out to everyone who stayed with us for almost 2 hours talking about this game. Shouts out Demicro, Frank, Joaquin, Gideon. Sorry for destroying the name. Opa. We had a lot of people with a lot of interesting comments as well. So Matthew, Hunter. Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. ILS as well. You joined later. Thanks for being here. And of course, thanks to both of you guys for accepting my request to come on stream. It was great. Great to talk about this game. It was kind of a challenge to find people actually who were done with this game, or at least almost done with this game at the moment. And a lot of people skipped on it, or people are not done with it yet. But I'm glad to see that a lot of that you guys are also extremely down on this game as I was.
Yeah. I literally beat it while we were talking.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Really?
Awesome. Are you on the credits?
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. You gotta listen to the credits. We won't hold you, man. They're great.
Thanks for having me. This was cool. Like, it's fun to talk about something that's not Mega 10, but also very good.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
to talk about games again.
Yep, it
Yeah,
was a
well,
great time, and
thanks for having
definitely,
me here.
definitely like to have you guys on at some point in the future as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
I thank you so much for everyone.